Here it is, brother. Broski.
Where do we want to begin?
From the beginning, man.
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
Where does the beginning even start? That's the question. That's deep.
Don't get this deep, man.
Let's start.
We're just having a conversation.
Let's start. So what's the beginning?
The beginning is, what are we doing? Why are we here? First of all, I'm going to ask you, what is your story, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously what we're doing here is we're having a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are having a conversation to express what it is that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to hear. I want to hear your story because it's Bros Gone Bible, right?
Yeah.
So how did you find God? How did you even get down this path, bro? I want to know. I want to hear your story, and I want everyone else to hear it as well.
Yeah. And we've been talking a lot about this, haven't we? Just about how everyone's journey is different, and we go through our own life experiences so that we can speak to a specific person. And so I think for me, like I grew up a very, very shy, anxious, insecure little kid. And although my dad was a good man, and I know he loved me, he just wasn't able to be there in the way that I probably needed him to be. And so I just felt very insignificant. And I remember I was like 16 years old, maybe 17 years old. I got a fake ID from school with my mate, and then we went down on the train down to Melbourne because we were going to go out to a nightclub. And we went out. We used a fake ID to get inside, like we all do. And I sat down. I vividly remember this. And I sat down next to this girl, and she's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "I'm not anything." She goes, "Well, what do you want to be on?" And I'm like, and so I was just completely oblivious. But my mate knew what was going on. 30 minutes later, I'm taking ecstasy for the first time in my life.
How old were you? Like
either 16 or 17. Yeah. I'll say 17 to be safe.
Yeah.
Because I know I had a fake ID at the time, so I wasn't 18. And I'm not going to lie, like I had the best night of my life because all of a sudden drinking drugs, it gave me this confidence that I'd never experienced to be who I didn't know how to be when I was sober. I had this massive night, and also like the uncertainty, the spontaneity, kind of doing something a little bit bad. It kind of met a lot of my needs. And in that moment, you know, this addiction for getting really drunk and drugs was born. And so drugs, alcohol, gambling eventually. I remember stealing money from my parents' money bank just so I could gamble, which is really weird. We started out doing 50-cent bets down at the tote at lunchtime at school, and that, you know, spiraled on. Porn, all the things. And then I eventually found personal development, and I did, I read all the books, all the YouTube videos, did NLP. I've probably meditated more than 10,000 hours, did all Tony Robbins, did all the things, got into business, became successful in that. And I don't know if I shared this with you, but the metaphor of this guy, and he takes a knife and he covers it in animal blood, and then he freezes it, and then he covers it in animal blood again. Then he freezes it and he covers it in animal blood, and then he freezes it again. And he goes out and he puts the knife in the snow with the blade facing up. And what happens is in the night, the wolf can smell the blood, and it finds the blade, and it goes up to the blade and it starts licking it. And at first it's just a little bit cold and icy, but once it gets through the ice, it can taste the blood, and it's like, oh, this blood, it's good. And it's licking it. And it gets through the first layer, and then the second layer, and then the third layer. And then before it knows it, like its mouth is numb. And as it's been licking though, it starts to like lacerate and cut up its mouth. And before it knows it, the wolf has licked itself to death. And over a really long period of time, it's like we just keep licking the knife, trying to get satisfied, and it's killing us inside. And so that was kind of what happened for me. I got to a point in business where, I grew my business to a certain point, and it was really cliche, but I felt like, I was like, what's the point? And I was still going out and I was drinking, and I was still, going out and getting on the gear, and just doing stupid shit, and that's when I just kind of went down this path of just chasing greater meaning, and then, eventually went overseas and found God, and then, yeah, the rest is history.
So when you found God, first of all, man, yeah, I think a lot of guys can relate to a lot of the stuff that you said, because all the addictions, all the things that we go through, all of us, we have vices, we have things that we fall to that make us feel pleasure, that make us feel like Superman, that give us confidence to give us what we're actually searching for. And it's a coping mechanism as well, addictions, all these stuff. So a lot of guys will definitely be relating to that. I know I can. But when you found God, what happened? Did everything just go, you found God and there we go, straight to the top. We are now floating on clouds. We're pastors, living the dream. What happened?
Nah, not quite, bro.
Never does.
Nah, it was wild, because I remember I was overseas and I was in America and I was on this yacht and I had this crazy like Tony Robbins style event, but for God, over 4 days. And I was around these really successful guys, and a number of different things happened that kind of opened my heart to the idea of these guys are physically strong, they're successful, but there's something different about them. And for the first time in my life, I was like, this is cool. And I said it to one of the guys, but I was like, I hate religion. And they're like, so do we too. But it's not about religion, it's about a relationship with God. And so a number of different things happened. And I remember towards the end of that 4 days in the yacht, I prayed the prayer. I had no idea what I was praying. I'd never read a Bible verse in my life. I had no idea what Jesus dying on the cross even meant. But I prayed the prayer and something within me changed. And I know that because when I got home, I caught up with one of my mates to just go out for a beer. And there was no way I was going to tell him about what happened, because it's just weird. God, we only kind of knew each other drinking drugs. That was it. And I got there and I got out of the car and he goes, Owen, what happened when you were over in America? I said, what do you mean? And he said, you are glowing. I said, what do you mean? He's like, bro, you are levitating. And so we ended up, talking about it. And in that moment, like, I knew that something had shifted. Like I just experienced a peace, and just something had changed within me. And then all of a sudden I started to get really logical. And I really tried to understand it. I'm like, well, everyone keeps saying the Bible is the truth. Who says? Like I might think your top is black and Alex might think it's gray. Who's right? Right? And so I'm like, who says it's the truth? And then I'm like, well, where does Jesus fit into the picture? Like, can't I just know God? And I started to like kind of challenge it and reject it. I wouldn't read the Bible and all those types of things. And then I kept, drinking. I kept going out. I kept watching porn, all these different things that the Bible would say was a sin. And I just kept doing it because I'm like, I would justify it and say that, well, it's not affecting me. Like I'm happy. I'm having a great time. Like I'll kind of do what I want. And then, I shared this on Saturday at gym church, but it's like, there's this guy and he has a dream, and in the dream, there's this beautiful green field, and in the middle of the field, there's a fence, and on the left side is the devil, and on the right side is God. And the devil says, you need to choose which side you're on. If you come over this side with me, you can have it all. You can drink, do drugs, porn, you can do whatever you want. There's no rules. But if you go over the side with God and Jesus, he said, yeah, cool, you have God, but you won't have some of the things you'll get to have with me. So he said, which side do you want to be on? And the guy's like wrestling. He's like, I don't know, if I go over this side with Jesus, like Jesus is so good. But then there's, the devil, I get to have all of this. And he goes, you know what? I got you guys figured out. He goes, I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to sit up on the fence. I get the best of both worlds. And then all of a sudden, everything goes black. And then all of a sudden, out of the darkness, the devil's arm jumps up and grabs him, pulls him off the fence. And he's like, oh, what's going on? Like I didn't go onto either side. Like, why is this happening? And the devil says, I own the fence. And what I realized is I got to a point and, I did something really, really stupid that I have to live with for the rest of my life. And I realized it was because I hadn't chosen God. And I hadn't really chosen the devil or the world, but I was on the fence and I messed up big time. And so, to circle back to your question, was it all sunshine and rainbows? Initially it was, man. Like now I learn I was a new creation, but then I didn't choose. I didn't wholeheartedly be like, man, I'm going to go all in with this. And I just kept going back and forth and doing stupid shit until and after I had this slip up, I'm like, if I don't decide what type of man I want to be, then how do I ever expect to look my son in the eyes and tell him he can be everything that he can be if I'm just going to pass on all my shit to him? You know, what's the saying goes is if the chains we don't break, we get passed on to our sons and daughters.
Yep.
And in that moment, I finally looked at myself and I'm like, do I really want my son to be an alcoholic just because my dad and his parents have just been drinking all these years? Do I really want my son to do drugs just because that's what I did? Do I really want there to be infidelity, lying, cheating, stealing because I didn't have the balls to break it off and do something about it? And I said, screw this. So I just decided in that moment to wholeheartedly pursue God. And it's been a journey, bro. Eventually I got to the point where I started reading the Bible every day. I started praying. We got into a brotherhood, which just came by the grace of God late last year. And iron really does sharpen iron. And when you start to get around other people with a higher standard for life, you realize all those things you were settling for, that you would make excuses for, were actually eating away at your soul, true or not true. And you start to actually look back and you go, man. And so, no, it wasn't perfect, but the perfect thing was, and you and I have been speaking about this, I know we're going to speak about it today, is that God doesn't want you to be perfect. It's like we go through shit so that we can speak to people that have been through what we've been through. And as we've been able to overcome it, we can help them overcome it too. So I don't know if that answers your question, but to come back to it, it's like, no, it wasn't sunshine and rainbows. No, it wasn't easy, but that's the point. God won't give you pain, but he will use it to be able to help somebody else. I really believe that.
100%, man. I totally agree. That's why I asked the question, because it's never straightforward. It's never a straight, sunshine and rainbows when you accept God. I think being in the lukewarm position is the most dangerous position you can be in, because you're neither there, here. You are just in this place of, it's the devil's territory, because he keeps you lukewarm, because that is where he has you. When you are in God's territory, you've chosen God, you are completely bold about it. He can't get you. Yeah, he tries, but that's where the real authenticity comes through. And that is where we know that vibration, vibrationally, authenticity is the highest vibration you can be. And when you are bold about something you truly believe, and you're standing on your faith, you choose Jesus and you completely express it, that's where the devil goes, get him. I've tried it all. The devil's tactics are always the exact same stuff. Yeah, it doesn't get old. He's been here for ages doing the same stuff. So that's why it's never easy when you choose God, but it is lukewarm is where it is. I feel like it's a dangerous place to be in. And if you are,
Amen.
For me, man, that's when my life changed, when I went from lukewarm. For a long time I was lukewarm, to then going,
What was the thing for you that kind of got you to, because you've kind of known God for probably a lot longer than I have, kind of grown up with it a little bit. What was the time for you when you really were like, nah,
so
go deeper with this?
The thing that got me to really go all in was pain, misery, depression, addiction, sadness, shame, already said, grief, like all these things that got me in this really low place that I was, suicidal. Like from that position, listening to Satan and letting him run havoc on my life, it was just like from rock bottom. That's where my life changed. And I have had this relationship where it's been up and down. I've been in the world. I went to God and was all in and on fire, then fell, and then back and forth. And last year was where I went, nah. I told everyone around me, I said, I need you to understand next year, because we're coming into this next year, I'm not going to be the same person. I'm going all in on God. I need you to understand. A few people were laughing, ha, 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 ha. I go, no, you have no idea.
Say what you said to them, because it's funny as.
What? I'm like, I said, get ready, because I'm going to be the gayest Nick you've ever seen in your life. As in, I'm going all in, because the people that I was saying that to are from the world, right? Yeah. and that's how they speak. So I just wanted to get them to understand what I meant by that.
Yeah.
But I told them, I'm going all in, and don't invite me anywhere. I'm not coming anywhere. I'm not going to be doing things anymore like I was. I'm going to be completely different. And I don't think it landed for them. But when that time came, I really did go all in, and it's you can see how fast my life has changed. It's felt, back to what you were saying when people are saying, you're glowing, bro. I get that like once or twice a day now, and people are like, just, bro, you're on fire, man. And I can see that the speed of change, and I can see again with vibration, I feel myself vibrating very high. I want to talk about a few things that are very, very important. I think that vices are super important, and I want to get this across. This is Bros Gone Bible. We've gone from complete, degenerates to now we read the Bible, we go to church, and we have our own men's Christian gym church together where we run.
Mm-hmm.
From drugs, addiction, depression to where we are now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that happens so fast. And that's why we are having this conversation in the first place. And what we're trying to do is help people understand how that looks, like what that looks like, how to get yourself out of the rut that you're in, to find God, to then enhance your life and, evidently go after this, because this is just a trial. We're living in this trial to see what happens next after this life where we go. So we're just trying to help liberate people and get them to step into their God-given powers. And I think vices, it starts there.
Yeah, I think what just came up for me though too is like, I know for me, probably the biggest thing that ever stopped me from wanting to let go of my vices or even open my mind up to God in general is the perception of what God was like. And think about it. We've been talking a lot about that with what's happened with Gym Church. Is we've got a bunch of physically strong, successful men that are masculine in nature, but we had a couple of our guys are like, man, there's just something different about you guys, and they're attracted to who these men are as men, and then they come in and they're like, well, what's the difference here? And like, it's Jesus. I think the biggest thing that gets in the way of people is this idea of who Jesus, who people think Jesus and God is like boring, broke, like you said, lukewarm, weak, all those different things. What do you think? Like, we've been talking a lot about that recently, about how just the church, which is meant to like reach and bring people to God, is oftentimes the thing that, and it serves its purpose, right? But oftentimes repels it based on, what society makes us think that it is.
I can only go from my own point of view, my own life, who I am, where I've come from. I can only speak from my testimony and being in the world and being a part of what I'm about to explain. Why we are so successful in what we've done with starting this group, right? This men's group, this community, this brotherhood, is because we've come from that world and we've seen the gap. We've seen where there's a stigma around church. Going to church is just too woo-woo, too far out. Like, no, I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to be singing and dancing and all that stuff. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys. Now, this is the thing. A lot of guys fit into that category like I did. But these are the guys that will change the world. So we're missing out on the people that will change the world, that have the most influence, that have the most power, that have that strength. We're missing out on those blokes that will really be able to express and send this.
Or at least just reaching, to be able to reach a lot of those people that are really against it, that are really in the dark.
And this is where I feel like we have so much power in this, and we are gonna change the world, because I've come from, I used to smoke ice. I used to take pills. I used to take MD, snort coke left, right, and center every single weekend, and even throughout the week, drink alcohol, addicted to alcohol, smoking cigarettes, smoking vapes, going through women like they were nothing. Trash. I was trash, and I thought that, going through women like they were nothing, just that was my identity.
Yeah.
Going through that was where I come from. To then be on this side and still having that the connections with those people in that environment.
Yeah.
So now stepping out into this new identity and seeing, what God can do. Now, this is where the relatability comes in, and that's where people are going, wow, like I know Nick where he was, and I can see now how he's changed.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, he's jacked. He's doing well in life financially. He's living his dreams. He's got like this. I'm painting this picture of going, you can have it all, but you don't need to do it like that. You can do it through God. Submit your life to God, and you can have it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why this is a personal thing. This is a personal thing where I've come from a distort childhood. And a lot of this comes from, if we're going to go into my testimony quickly, a lot of this comes from me having a father that wasn't around, that was, really, belting my mum. He tried, again, we're just going to go deep here. He, getting to the point where I was a kid and he tried to light me on fire. Me and my sister literally tried to light me on fire. And he had to get stopped by his friend, and we had to run from my own dad. So coming from this place where I didn't have a dad around, and it was a fatherless childhood upbringing. I was looking for other men to be my dad, to be my brothers, to give me some sort of guidance in life. And it's funny how God works, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny how God works. Now I am that father and brother figure for others. So we learn through what we go through, and this is why it's personal. I never had a brotherhood that I was truly grateful to be around, because a lot of them were either envious, jealous, or just had bad intentions for me.
Or it just didn't have God. Like that's what we've spoken about many times. It's like there's plenty of groups. So it's like rah rah rah, but there's always you're always trying to one up or posture position and be more successful instead of trying to like build and lift each other up.
And there's a stigma with guys. Yeah, like we have to always just take the piss out of each other or bring each other down. Crabs in a bucket, tall poppy syndrome. All that stuff is real, and it's just like the norm. When we've experienced now the group that we have created, everyone is uplifting each other. Everyone is motivating each other, like trying to help them. When they win, we literally we clap, like, man, well done, applauding their success. I never had that, and because I didn't have any of that stuff, I can see now the pattern going, wow, I needed to go through that to now create this.
Yes.
Right. And that's why, that's why everything happens for a reason, and you cannot play victim. You cannot blame God for the things that you've gone through. You went through it. If you can zoom out and look at the big picture, know that you're going through whatever you're going through because it's going to lead into a place where you're going to bring the thing that you didn't get to the world. It always happens every time.
Yeah. And really, I think, a big part of what we're talking about is it's changing the definition of manhood.
Yes.
Because, we just grow up thinking we have to be some type of certain man, which usually comes from our parents or just from society or whatever. And like you said, you catch up with your mates and your only form of endearment is you're a CUNT, or trying to pull them down or take the piss out of them, and you need alcohol or drugs to get emotional. Yes. Like you said, you're the king of D&Ms. And what you really want to do is just connect, but we need something to get us to the point where it's acceptable to.
Exactly. That's right.
Versus like you said about uplifting, like when I was on this yacht, I got the opportunity to meet Steve Weatherford, fittest man in the NFL, ex-Super Bowl champion, and he's ripped and shredded, and he's the kind of guy that when he opens his mouth, he commands the room. And I remember I'm sitting there and he's handing out his Super Bowl ring, and he's handing it around, and he goes, I used to sit here in a room like this. I'd walk in seeking to compete against other men, trying to get claret, trying to get attention, trying to be the biggest person in the room. He said, since receiving Jesus, I walk into a room like this seeking not to be completed by, but seeking to complete other men.
Exactly.
And it's an example of what we're talking about. It's like manhood isn't just like,
it doesn't have to be like that.
It's not, and it's hard to put a finger on it because
it's deemed feminine, right?
Yeah.
It's deemed feminine. Where did that come from? Just praising your mate, being happy for your mate is feminine.
I think the biggest thing is that we define manhood by masculinity.
Correct.
Someone said the other day is like masculinity is attributes of strength, boldness, and aggression, or something like that. And it's like, cool. Do we exude those attributes? Absolutely. But that's not all that we are. Like we were talking about this the other day. Like I think, you were being vulnerable in a video or whatever. It's like, we're like, is that okay? It's like, yes. Just because we show our heart or we love on someone doesn't make us less powerful or intense or the ability. Like we're meant to be human beings, not be put into a box.
I've been told that my superpower is I have a very, very good balance of masculine and feminine. That is apparently one of my superpowers. And I feel like that is needed because we've got the red pill, right? And then we've got the rainbow pill. And now we've gone so far.
I haven't heard this one. Keep going.
We've gone so far
Keep
on
going,
the red
Morpheus.
pill that it's just everything's, there's persuading and manipulating women culture, being in power. That's the red pill. You're dominant male.
It's like Andrew
Get
Tate
in the
style.
kitchen.
Kill everybody
which
else.
is like, I understand that because I was there.
Mhm.
I thought that was correct.
Yeah.
Then
Totally
there's the
out of
rainbow
insecurity.
feminine pill, which is completely far left. That is completely just on that side of the spectrum.
Emotionally
Where,
unstable.
it's just the opposite to all of that.
Yep.
Yeah. Just very, very emotionally unstable. And
Mhm.
then there's somewhere in the middle where you can have the dominance, you can be masculine, you can be confident, you can be the leader of your family, but then you can also be nurturing. You can also be there for your kids and your wife and give them what they need, the softness, and be there for your friends, be there for your family, your brotherhood, and actually uplift people and find that sweet spot of vulnerability, right? There is, I'm not saying be vulnerable all the time.
It's a balance.
If you are vulnerable to your woman all the time, that is not right. I believe that is incorrect. She will not trust you. So you need to be masculine with out in the world and know that, yes, you do need to deal with the problems because you are the man, you're the rock of the family. She's looking for you, for your help, and your support, and you're the one that's got things covered. But there is times where you can be vulnerable, and vulnerability is a superpower with men.
It's a dichotomy, isn't it, though? Because I think I agree, like you need to be that leader in the household. But I also think that for some men as well, we need to like let our wives and partners know who we really are at times as well. And
Correct.
it's like this balance. But then I agree, because what Proverbs...
Not all the time though, because...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because what is it? Proverbs 17:7, I think, is iron sharpens iron. So one man sharpens another. We're meant to do that with other men. Other men, like, but that's the thing. We've been talking a lot about this, haven't we? Is like the two things that are missing for guys is, number one, God, number two, brotherhood. And just having a relationship with God,
Yes.
you're missing everything if you don't have a brotherhood. If you just have a brotherhood without God, it's the combination with two. Because when you can come in and be around physically strong, successful guys that are also transparent, emotionally open, able to express themselves freely. I think you said this the other day. When you come in and say, hey, I've battled with suicide, drugs, porn, all the things, gives that dude over there permission to be like,
yes,
wow, like this.
That would have never
this
happened
guy,
without your vulnerability.
Yeah, this guy, wow. So maybe, and then it gives them permission to open up and validates that what they're going through, they're not alone. And then you share something like how you've overcome it, and they go, damn, that helps them break through. That's how you really, you build each other up, because if you just do it on your own, you think you're alone. And when you think you're alone, you try and work on it on your own. And when you work on it on your own, that's why more than one man dies every day from suicide.
Correct.
In Australia, because we're alone.
And we find we try and relieve the sadness of being alone, the isolation. We try and relieve that, and that leads to addictions, the vices back to circle back. Leads to vices, leads to alcohol to numb it, leads to nicotine or smoking and vaping to give us some sort of a dopamine hit so that we feel like we're okay for about 3.5 seconds. And then bang, it drops back down. Smoking a vape is like you're smoking ice. If you're listening to this, it literally is the same way. It's the same thing. And it's been shown that the dopamine, the rate of how high the dopamine goes up is like very similar, and the process of it is very similar.
Yeah.
And that's why if you look at a vape, it's got the devil on it. The picture on a vape is a devil. That's its
on
logo.
all vapes.
The one that I get one.
Really?
It's got a devil on it,
Yeah.
and you look at it and go. And I remember when I was vaping, I would look at it and go, oh, he had me.
Yeah,
It's like, I got you. And you couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
So again, we go back to these addictions to try find pleasure, dopamine, that things are okay. But when you take it away, it comes back to the reality of you are feeling alone. That's where God comes in. You always feel like God is there supporting you, helping you, guiding you, and then brotherhood there to share what's going on, be around brothers that are uplifting you, which is very, very important.
And you've done a phenomenal job too, because, if there's people that are listening to this, like I remember when we reconnected, like you had a big party that you had to go to and you were like wrestling. You were like really all in with God, but then you were still like with your group of mates, and you kind of like, as you said, you told them, I'm going to be gay for a period of time. But then it's like all you need to do is just pursue God with everything you've got, and He will take care of the rest. Like it's amazing to see how you've been transformed through that imperfectly. Because remember like late last year when we first like prayed out loud for the first time, and how awkward it was, and then we were talking to each other and we're like, oh man, it's got to get I want to learn how to pray better.
I want to get better at prayer.
I liked how you said those words. And I'm like, yeah, and I liked it, and it was super awkward. And like reading the Bible, and we're like saying how much we struggle and how weird it is, and we don't
know
get
a verse off by heart.
Yeah.
They're just coming out
completely, like have no idea. But all that was done is that we were fortunate enough to, God brought this brotherhood to life in Gym Church.
Yep.
So we had that, and we had each other, and then we've pursued God. And He just like, how long's it been since you've had a drink?
It's been a few months, man. A few months.
Yeah. Vaping?
That's been a while now.
Yeah. And like, it's just, and many of the guys in the group, we had Benny on the weekend. He's like, man, I haven't touched weed in like a month or two.
Yeah, heaps of
many guys that are just,
all vices.
Yeah. And like, so for somebody listening to, in terms of the vices and stuff, like really, if you find yourself a group of men that are playing a bigger game, that have higher standards, while you're bringing in a relationship with God at the same time, it's not, you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to be perfect. He will take care of the rest. I hated the Bible. 18 months. I didn't pray at all. But slowly but surely, He just refined me, developed me, used my frustration with all of it to find the right answers. That's all you need, man. And I think that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, see with me, man, it was more like so for the last 12 years, I believed in God, in Jesus. I loved God and He was there, but I was reading the Bible, I was praying. Like when I come out of a toxic relationship, really toxic relationship, and for the last 3 years of that relationship, I was like, God was telling me, you need to leave, and I was not obeying His instructions. And because I was it was toxic, I was very emotional. I just was in a bad place, depressed, addicted to all sorts of substances. And it was listening to God, actually listening and finally obeying. And this is where the real power comes in. This is where your life will change. And this is where I want to bring it. I want anyone that is listening to this to understand that submitting to God and listening to the voice, your intuition, which is God, and actually obeying it is where your life will change. And for me, when I went through that toxic relationship, I finally broke up. I went back, I was 24, 25 years old, $0 in my bank account, living with my mum in a 2-bedroom flat in Melton South, which is disgusting. Then getting to a place where I was like, I needed a way out. I was on my hands and my knees, crying, praying to God, saying, Lord, help me. Please help me. You know my circumstance. I listened to you, God. I listened, and now I'm here. Is this what you wanted for me? Do something, Lord. Intervene, please. You know where I'm at. And, it's this is where ask and you shall receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. This is where you need to properly pray and ask God. And then I needed a job at that point. I had $0. I needed a way out. And I asked God, Lord, please find me a coaching role for men specifically. I want to work with men. I've been working with women. I don't want to do it authentically. I'm better at speaking to men. Please, Father. The next day, I get a call from my man, Eric.
I was going to say from God. No.
God made the call happen from Eric. Calls me up and says, hey, bro, I've just exited out of my gym. I'm starting a coaching company, a men's coaching company. I want you to be the head coach. I'm like, brother. Are you serious? The next day. So submitting to God completely, trusting in the Lord will get you places that you and will fast track your success, and not just the success, but your peace, fulfillment, and everything in between, and contentment. It will fast track that, and you'll be on the right track. So I think trusting God, trusting in Jesus, man, and this is why I was saying circle back. I've been in church, in and out of church, but I was too weak. I was too weak to be able to completely let go of my old life. I kept going back. I kept slipping up. I kept going back to those old vices, the old people that just, and I just kept going back.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because I'm curious, what's your definition of sin?
My definition of sin is doing something that you know that you should be doing, that you feel guilt if you don't do it, missing the target, missing what your conscience knows that is correct, and and going again and basing it on the 10 Commandments is really what I do believe.
Yeah. So essentially anything that goes against yourself, which is the way I define it, but it's same thing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, and we've spoken about this a lot. I remember earlier this year talking about how certain you and I were both feeling, and we're like, isn't it amazing? I feel like when you're walking with God, your sensitivity to those so-called sins, not because it's something that the book says you shouldn't do, but because you actually start to pay attention to the things that actually does like make you feel shit about yourself. When you're like, oh yeah, it's okay to watch porn, but every time you do it, you actually feel really guilty. Or, you say, oh yeah, I'm just going to have this night out. It doesn't matter that much, but it does. It like eats away at your soul. And there's the best version of you that is so convicted, that is so, I feel like if you take those parts of yourself, it's like a little whisper in your ear. Are you really a man that does what he says he's going to do?
Correct. Yeah.
Or do you just say you're going to be something, but then in these little moments you can't control yourself? And so it stops you from being who God created you to be. And you become a shell of yourself. And that's why I feel like, that's why a lot of men lack self-confidence, lack certainty, lack conviction, but also it stops them from being able to be open to go, like you said, like fully go all in with God, because you kind of feel like you're ashamed. Whether we know it consciously or not, because I feel like this is very unconscious stuff. It's like you just don't feel right with yourself because of all the little things that no one else knows. But even just as simple as saying, I'm going to get up early every morning, and you keep sleeping in, hitting snooze. That's a sin. If it goes against you when you say you're going to do it, you know what I mean? And imagine having a 1,000 of those little things. Yeah.
You're going against God. I need to wake up early because I want to read the Bible in the morning. I want to pray and I want to start my day and I want to be the best version of me and I want to help others go through the exact same thing. Okay, set the alarm. And you hit snooze 5 times and wake up 3 hours later. You've just gone against God's purpose for you. That is a sin. So we have to look at the word sin and see it differently now, not just, killing someone and, adultery and all these things that are, that's a sin, obviously. We now need to look at it in the micro sins that actually get in the way of the ultimate goal and the purpose for our life. And that's where I think everything in your life, this is why I feel so powerful right now. I feel like I'm vibrating so high right now. It's because I have been everything the last month or so. There has been just complete, like I haven't missed a single thing. And what that does is I've got complete conviction and certainty and confidence. And when I speak to anybody, there's no like question mark in my mind. There's no pausing. There's no like, it's just because I know I am who I say I am. And that's what I want everyone to go through, that exact same transformation. Because when you look at guys and they look down and and you can hear cracking in their voice and they can't look you in the eye, it's because they're doing things that they know that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, it's insane.
And
it's something that as men oftentimes, like, it's not something we'd admit, maybe even something that we wouldn't even be consciously aware of, but it's that thing that's there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing I love about this is I feel like really like being in right relationship with God is actually embodying the spirit of excellence, because a pro will make decisions based on their commitments versus an amateur makes decisions based on their feelings. True or not true? It's like
100%.
If you're a pro and if you have the spirit of it, like, you do what you say you're going to do. And as men, isn't that what we aspire to be like? So,
look, Proverbs chapter 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart and don't lean on your own understanding. We keep bringing this up because it's such a powerful thing. We think that we're alone. We think that we have to do everything ourselves. But I know that there is if you're ever speaking to me in person, understand every single time I'm talking to you, I have already had an internal dialogue conversation with God before I spoke to you. And whenever I have these conversations, I know it's going to go the way that it needs to, because one, God is involved in the conversation. Two, I'm not missing. I'm doing what I'm saying I'm doing behind closed doors. When no one's watching, I'm doing the best that I can. Obviously, I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. That's one thing that, again, bro's gone Bible. We come from the streets and now we're in the Bible and we're at churches and stuff like that. No one's perfect, bro. We still swear. We still slip up. There may be times we're drinking alcohol. Don't get it twisted. But what I'm saying is, majority of the time, behind closed doors, we are doing the things that we need to be doing. We're staying organized. We're training when we need to. We're eating correctly. We're drinking water. We're limiting all of the bad stuff. We're watching good stuff. We're reading positive things. So that's where I want anyone watching, any guy, and this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to help men accept Jesus into their life, submit fully, and then letting Jesus, God, do the changing in here. There is a reason for why we are operating off the calendar BC, after Christ, 2025 right now. What's that? The calendar is based around that. There is more proof that Jesus was alive than there was Alexander the Great and all these things. But we don't want to believe in Jesus because it requires you to change. It requires you to look at yourself and go, if I believe in Jesus, then that means I have to actually abide by the rules that are in the Bible. But we all have to we all have to really believe in Alexander the Great, the conqueror, because he lived, he was a conqueror. Doesn't require us to do anything or change. So accepting God into your heart and then letting God do the work. I call myself, I am the seed planter. Mm-hmm. I speak to people, I let them see the transformation, I let them feel the energy, I drop a seed and I walk away. And then I get calls and messages go, bro, what Bible do you read? Bro, can I come to gym church?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I didn't push it down their throat, right?
And that's why it's so exactly.
I'm not a Bible bashing dude.
Yes.
I'm not that. I'm literally from the streets. You heard what the addictions and stuff that I've had, where I've come from. Being in a jail cell overnight. I've got expelled from school. Like I was a ruthless kid growing up. Now I've gone to this side. People know that. They feel that. I'm relatable. And then I'm not bashing anyone with the Bible. I'm just saying, bro, this is what it did for me, man. Look, like I just, bro.
And that's why it's so important, even as people are listening, like be on this walk with God, but be your freaking self. Because like how many guys are coming into this environment and they're like, they would never go into a traditional church. it's just wild.
Exactly.
It's
We're
like
bridging the gap.
we need to, like, your life should not be an instruction manual, but an invitation for people to follow Jesus, because they go, wow, this guy, he's living an incredible life. He's strong physically. He's successful. He's got a great family. He comes from love. What's the difference? Oh, it's Jesus. Oh, Jesus can be like you. We can make Jesus cool again. Holy shit. The idea of what I had about God and Jesus was weak, boring, broke. That, oh shit, there's another reality from what I thought it was. Like, that's what we've been talking about a lot. Hey, it's like churches are really kind of designed for Christians to grow in their faith. And that's okay. It serves its purpose. But there are so many people right now that their idea of religion and faith is stopping them from even exploring it, because you, listening, haven't had the courage to just be yourself and express it. There'd be plenty of people that would look at you and say, damn, like I really look up to this person and they know God. Tell me more. How much has that happened over the last 3 or 4 months, just from the conversations that you've started with people, and now they're open to it and you never thought they would have been open to it before?
Bro, it happens all the time. And even at the church, I'm at a church called Numa, and I've been there for a while. And the other day we went to the front, you and I and the team and the squad, the God squad, and we went to the front and we worshipped God on our hands and knees. We went there, it was just us. When we were finished, there was 20 or 30 people behind us on their hands and knees because they saw us doing it. People that is not, is conventionally doing that stuff that you would typically see doing that. So again, it's coming from, if these dudes are doing it, then why can't we? And that's where the whole making Jesus cool again is like my thing that I'm obsessed about and I'm going to do. And I know it, I can see it. It's already done in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. But making Jesus cool again is something that, like, it's not that he was never cool. He was always
having
cool.
people see him as he's
coming
always
back
been.
around full circle like I did, and see that you can be a successful man financially, which I am, a powerful man in the gym and outside of the gym, which I am, with my habits, disciplined in my mindset, having a good brotherhood, being good with your family, being a generous, genuine dude, being able to tick all of it, and having Jesus be the center point. And that, I'm trying to bring that to the world, because, man, it's Jesus wasn't this flop. Jesus wasn't this feminine man. He flipped tables. He did these things. He was direct. He called everything out. He came into this system we call the Matrix, called it out and said, nah, we're doing things differently. I'm here for a reason. One by one, got the disciples and went through and completely changed the game.
It's wild, isn't it, though, how there's really only one perception of Jesus out in the world, at least that I ever saw, which is just peace. I always thought that Jesus is just, it's weird, isn't it?
Just forgive your enemies. And well, now really think about that. Forgive your enemies. How much strength does that require? Forgive your enemies. How many times should I forgive him?
That's what I mean.
7 times?
It's not this.
7 times 77 times.
Yeah.
Meaning infinity, as in like you just keep doing it. That takes strength, discipline, and that's where true power really is. We try to be all macho in that.
It's not this fake.
You're not even facing the demons up here, bro. You're hitting the snooze, you're vaping, you're smoking, you're drinking consistently, you're taking drugs when you know that you don't want to. That's where true power is. Yeah. And strength. Yes. And that's where Jesus comes in and can help you with that.
It's just like the fake masculinity, this fake manhood, this posturing and positioning that you've got to be successful and speak down to women and go out and get on the piss and all those things that we feel like we have to do to be a man, versus like really, like you said, Jesus was a lion, but he was also the lamb. It actually takes way more courage to be able to be powerful, but soft, tough and tender, strong and sensitive.
100%.
Like that's what it takes. It's way more of a man that can do all of that can protect, but that can also love. Like that's rare in today's age. And even you and I, we've been battling in that dichotomy of being like okay to just accept all parts of ourselves on this journey, because we've lived in that society our entire lives. Like, it's actually hard to let go of not just being powerful and owning all parts of it. But again, it takes courage. It takes surrender. It takes an actual real understanding of Jesus, because if you actually know the real Jesus, he's already cool.
Exactly. And if we're trying to look at, someone to emulate, then Jesus is really the only one that you would ever want to emulate. The sinless man, the one that was perfect and whole and complete. And, if we're trying to go for something, it's not that we're saying we're perfect, we're striving for perfection, because we can't. We are sinners, but born sinners. But if we're going and striving for something, Jesus is the only one for me that makes sense. And look, I want to speak about the way, what actually gives fulfillment to a man as well. This is something that I've realized. Having complete fulfillment, there's a 3 sort of like stage thing, not stage, but a process that you need to go through.
I'd love to hear your 3. I got 3 too. I want to hear your 3.
It's not necessarily 3 different things. It's more so like the chain event that happens. Like, every man needs to have a mentee, someone that they can actually coach and mentor and help, a mentor, someone that they are getting complete, guidance from and getting mentored, and then someone that is on the same position as them. And when you're getting taught something by someone, you can then teach them, which then the chain event continues to happen. So that's where like true fulfillment comes in as well. A mentor
like discipleship in a way. Yeah.
And it goes back to the, like, when you learn something and you teach it, you embody it and you learn it, properly. Same sort of thing. When you get taught something and then you can then teach another that needs it, it's just,
Yeah, it's like spiritual father, earthly mentor, earthly brother, earthly students.
Yeah, man. What's your 3 that you said you were saying?
No, I was kind of down a different path, but I'm enjoying this conversation. How many times over the last 4 months have we been like, damn, that was deep. I wish we had just had a camera. So thank you to Alex for capturing, so we don't have to create, just capturing this incredible conversation. It's good.
But pretty much, man, like what we're doing is we're just, through our testimony, through our transformation, we've felt this peace, joy, and fulfillment and contentment of Jesus and what he's done for us. We've created this, Bros Gone Bible chats to be able to express that and help others going through what they may be going through if they've been down the same path that we've been in, and just sharing the journey of what we're doing with these men and Gym Church and everything that's coming. And I'm so keen to just have everyone come along the journey and see what happens, because I know it's going to be big. Very, very keen.
Yeah, man, we've spoken so many times, haven't we, just how blown away we've been about how there's only really one way to go on a journey with God, and that's Sunday church, and how there's really limited ways, especially for men, to be able to have a relationship with God that's relatable and desirable. Because when I first came to know God, like the idea of going to a church was like, no way, religion, church rules, not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so it has just been crazy, hasn't it? How we have ended up with this brotherhood we wish we had growing up. Which is the thing that we look forward to the most throughout the week, is rocking up at 6 a.m. on Saturday and just being around other powerhouse, powerful men that really every single time we're talking about this on the way here, we get deposited into every time. They get deposited into, and iron really does sharpen iron. There is something really special about it. And the only thing I don't understand is how there is not more of it. But at the same time, man, isn't it that there is a freaking hunger for this in Australia? Men are getting called out of hiding. Like people are starting to, that don't know God. This is the best thing, hey, that don't know God, that are just like, damn, there's something going on over here. Been seeing your stories, seeing your stuff on, like, what is this? Even, people that are really successful that don't know God, they're like, I'd never come, but I want to come.
Yeah.
And so we're at this tipping point where I feel like there's going to be this awakening with men that would never have come to know Jesus this year and over the next 10, 20, 30 years here in Australia. Mark my words, you can record this conversation. This is the beginning of it. And it feels good. I was saying to the other day, we had 8 people, including my 5-year-old son, who got baptized after Gym Church down at the beach in Melbourne. And my wife said, she's like, how do you feel that you played a role in having 8 people get baptized? And I said, babe, I can't take zero credit. I said, I wouldn't have this group wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Nick. So this group wouldn't exist for the gentleman who's letting us have his gym. It wouldn't exist. Like we were talking about on the way here, weren't we? Just how at the end of the year, we hadn't seen each other for 5 years. We met up 5 years ago. We were so excited to start a men's group. We both had all female clients. We were so jazzed up with nothing to offer. We said, hey, nice to meet you. Never saw each other again.
Yeah.
I went away, gave my life to God, went on our own journey, came back in December. We both felt called to reconnect with each other. I found out you're a Christian. I'm like, let's catch up. We had a chat exactly like this for 90 minutes. It was fire. We both had on our heart to do something for men. And then boom, within a moment, we had the group have 3 people we prayed together. We've got a photo of that went to 6 to 12 to, close to 30, and it's going to be 50 and beyond before we know it. And we can't take any credit or glory to God for the way that he has brought this to life. And I have never had a thing in my life before, period, point blank, end of story, that has had God's hand on it, that we know is of God, because we have not put in any effort, have we? We have been used as a vehicle and as a conduit, and we have come in and we've submitted to whatever, but it has been beautiful, hasn't it? Just the way that it has come to life organically in just the most perfect way. It's blown me away, bro.
That's same, man. That's how you know it's from God. It's been blessed by God when you don't really need to try. It just happens organically. It's like there's this tidal wave pushing it and making it happen. We caught up 5 years ago. It wasn't the right time, obviously.
No.
And we caught up to start a men's group, and nothing happened again. So you just completely evaporated. Nothing happened.
No.
I went to Queensland and I tried to escape Melbourne. I ran from Melbourne. I called it Sin City. It's filthy. It's just dark energy everywhere. Yeah. I was running from it. Mm-hmm. I was there, part of a brotherhood and a part of a church there. And I'm like, what am I doing? Melbourne needs this. God was telling me, you need to go back to Melbourne and you need to start this there. Stop running. And I'm like, whilst I was even in Queensland, God said to me, you're going to connect with Owen.
That's wild.
And we didn't even speak.
Well, we had both had a similar thing. Right? I felt like I needed to just reconnect with you for about 2 years.
Yeah, I had that. It was like these downloads coming in. And I'm like, I remember when I get back, I'm gonna reach out. I get back, I'm gonna reach out. And
I beat you to it.
Yeah, you beat me to it. I went to this gym, and then from there, I said to Alex, this guy that he runs, is a good mate of ours. He runs 4D gym, and that's why I brought. I'm like, man, I want to start my own. I want to train and then speak about the Bible and pray. And he's like, bro, I've always wanted to do that. And then he's like, why do we do it here? I'm like, all right. Done. Let's do it. Yeah. Then he's like, bro, I'm bringing someone. This is how it happened. Yeah. He goes, well, I've got someone that would be perfect to come along. I'm going to bring him. I'm like, oh, sweet. Who? He goes, oh, Owen.
Oh, he said this to you before we connected.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
And I'm like, what? Owen. I'm like, I know Owen. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, and then that's where we ended up connecting.
Yeah, and then I caught up with coffee with Alex, and he told me you were a Christian, and we connected. It
was like that.
It was amazing because God really used Alex in that gym to kick things off. This wouldn't have started without him even. Yeah. He played a huge role in this, and we did some incredible stuff there at 4 a.m. on Sundays. There for a while.
I know. Oh man, so it's such a journey. And this is another thing. It's like we know that. Things always happen for a reason, and we always go through these things in life. And I've said this before, you look back and you will see the things that you've gone through. And when you're going through something hard, you're like, far out, man. Like, I can't see a way out. This is never going to get better. Why am I going through this? Why God? Why God? Why God? You're stuck in the emotions. But every time that you get through it, and you conquer it and you get through the other side, you can then see why you were going through it for a reason, right? So then why don't we have that always and having complete trust in God always? We always fall back. A lot of us will fall back into the whole this isn't meant to be, I can't see a way out. There's no trust in God. You're stressing out. There's anxiety where in the Bible says, do not be afraid, do not worry, like 365 times. It's like, it's in there for a reason. Yeah. But that's everything happens for a reason, man.
Yeah, Stephen Furtick was saying the other day, he's like, I always get excited about a sermon and then I check the comments and someone was like, that's all great for you, but what happens if God hasn't been good to you? And he said, the goodness of God is a perspective.
Yeah.
And so to come to your question about why can't we see it is because like a big part of how God will refine and develop you is to actually have you realize is that the things that you go through are primings, are positionings, are preparations, like you're being planted. And the greatest metaphor that will never leave me is that in order for a seed to release its potential, which we are a seed, it has to go into the ground, it has to die, it has to crack open for the potential to be released so we can grow up. Plus, what are they called? Roots have to actually go down deep first. We want to grow really quickly, but if we grow really quickly and there's no roots, then all of a sudden when there's challenge, what happens? It gets washed away. So the times that things are hard, what happens if it wasn't hard? It was actually preparing you for what God always had prepared for you. Now, it's not easy when you're in the shit, is it? But over time, like you said you're a data man. You look back and you look at how every single step of the way, God is always using your experiences, good and bad, to develop your character, to match your calling. You just have to have enough maturity to look back. And then when you're in it, like you said, ask God, like, what are you doing with me right now? What does this mean? And sometimes as well, when you won't do that, just grind your way through it. Like sometimes it's just showing up, isn't it? Like we've been through some stuff over the last couple of months and it wasn't easy and it's not easy, but you keep pursuing him. And how good's it been?
Yeah.
Where, I come at you and I was trying to be strong and then, God helped me have empathy. And I apologize. And it created a deeper connection versus without God, we just go rams at each other. It probably breaks. So it's not always like if you're listening to this and you're going through tough stuff, it doesn't mean that you just sit there and pray and everything's perfect. Like sometimes you just got to grind it out. But if you keep pursuing him, he will take care of the rest. If you give it to God, he will take care of the rest.
Yeah. And, it's God didn't send David a crown and a kingdom, right? He sent him a Goliath.
Got anointed and then,
we get sent these things to overcome, to strengthen us, to then be able to then step into that crown, that kingdom and the success.
Yes.
So we always get thrown these things and we have to just understand that these hurdles, these obstacles, these things that are thrown at us are there for a reason. See it for what it is and accept it, tackle it, and know that it's there for a reason and you will come out the other side like we have, a lot better, stronger, more content, more fulfilled, on fire, on purpose. And all of the hardship that we've been thrown, we would have never been able to, if it wasn't thrown, we would have never been able to experience what we do right now. So
stop wishing for less battles and ask God to make you become a better warrior. Like that's a big part of it as a man. Like sometimes you just actually have to own that masculine side of you and be like, yo, I'm going to move through this. God, challenge me. I dare you to make it harder because I know that's my refinement to equip me for all the things. Like you and I are not mediocre, average men. Everyone's listening to this isn't either. They want greatness. They want to make lots of money, be successful, have a strong body, a great family. We want it all. If you want it all, is it going to be easy? You said that the other day. If you want a hard life, choose easy shit. If you want an easy life, choose hard stuff. And it doesn't actually mean easy. It's fulfillment. If you want a fulfilling life, choose the hard route because the hard route will develop and prepare you. And if you can become empowered through the hard stuff, then the hard stuff aren't hard. It actually becomes easy because you get good at it.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Phenomenal. First episode, you're too far away.
Yeah, I know.
But that was good. I really, really enjoyed this conversation. This was deep. I could keep talking and talking. So we might have to come back for episode number 2.
I think we're definitely going to be coming back for episode number 2. Bring the fire again. But the message is very clear. We're just standard men, standard dudes that have come from a background of hardship, misery, sadness, isolation, depression, addictions, to being able to conquer that through Jesus, through God, and through being able to then start our own men's Christian movement and be able to help other men going through the exact same thing. And what we're doing is we're bringing this message out to the public because there is the church, which is very, there's the church, and then there's the doorway in between, which we are providing them to then want to go to church. And it's been amazing, man. And I just can't wait to just get this message out because, look, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And we've felt it, we know it. And all we're doing is just spreading a message. We're not telling anyone what to do. We're just spreading the message, and we just do what we do best, plant the seeds, and hopefully they come to that conclusion.
Amen.
Amen.